Hello, hello out there. Thank you so much for joining us for this Facebook Live. I'm Christelle Bell with the Let ABC15 Know team. We're glad to have you with us. We are gearing up and getting ready because this is just a big day for us here at ABC15. We are hosting our Ask an Attorney Social Security Benefits um, live phone bank tonight. And so we are excited to bring this to the community because we know that there is a great need for this. And so there has been a lot of questions that people may have. They want to get their questions answered. So we're providing this live phone bank. The live phone bank lines will open at 5 o'clock this evening. They will go until 7 o'clock tonight. But we are focusing on Social Security benefits. We know that there are over a million Arizonans who rely on Social Security income, whether it's through retirees, people with disabilities, or survivor benefits. And so there can be a lot of questions. It can be overwhelming. We know that sometimes it can be difficult to get into the Social Security office or even get your phone call answered. So we're doing this tonight and we're really excited. I want to bring in Mary Kay Fowler. We are partnering with the State Bar of Arizona to bring this phone bank tonight. And so, Mary Kay, she is a volunteer attorney who will be answering phone lines tonight.
Thanks for
Um,
having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are really, really excited. This is the first time that we're offering this phone bank in Social Security benefits. We typically do phone banks every month, but this is something new. We saw the need and we wanted to be able to provide this to Arizonans. So thank you again for volunteering your time to be there to answer questions tonight. We hope you're ready
I'm ready.
because we've had a lot of folks that have called and was like, what's the number? I want to call. Give us the number. You gave us the details, but we don't have the number. So we normally give that number out a little bit closer to when the phone bank will start. So I think a lot of people are going to call tonight.
Great. Great.
And that's good because we're going to help a lot of people,
Yes, we're
right?
going to help a lot of people.
And that's what it's all about. But let's just talk a little bit about, sometimes the biggest question that people get is, how do I qualify? What do I need to do to find out if I'm eligible for benefits? I think that's probably the biggest question.
Yeah, you have to work and pay in the system to qualify for
Yeah.
certain types of disability and for retirement. There are other fail safes, the supplemental security income that is for the disabled or the people that don't have income at their in their age. So there is a fail safe for that too. But
Mhm.
generally, it's for people who have worked and paid into the system and have put that money in for the purposes that the Social Security Act set it for.
Yeah. So there's a thing that I was understanding when it comes to retirement benefits, you can opt to receive benefits at the age of 62, but there's some conditions that come with that. And then explain also the full retirement age.
Correct. There are conditions. 62 is the earliest you can retire, and we call that early retirement because
Hmm.
it's before your full retirement. If you've been born after 1960, your full retirement is
Hmm.
67 plus some amount of months. So 67 would be full. When you reach your full retirement age, you are eligible for your full retirement amount. That is based on your years of work and your earnings for those years of work.
Okay.
If you take your disability, or excuse me, if you take your retirement before your full retirement at 67,
Okay.
then there is reductions. At 62, it's about a 30% reduction, which is a
Mm.
pretty big hit. But there's lots of people that are in need and need that income at 62, so it's a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
For others, it's more beneficial to wait till
Hmm.
they're either reach their full retirement or they're or 70 even, which is
Okay.
when you must take your
Resign.
benefits.
Okay.
So it depends on what your needs are and whether you're working and a lot of other
So
factors.
it's 65, late 67, but definitely by 70, you have to.
Yeah, 70 they force you to start taking your benefits.
Okay, gotcha. Alrighty. And so, but the thing also too is you can start applying up to 4 months before you want your benefits to start.
Yes, and we do recommend that 3 to 4 months before your official date that you want to start receiving
And why
benefits.
is that
It
recommended?
takes a little while for Social Security to process your paperwork.
No way.
Yes, it does. You
Don't
wouldn't.
say.
And Social Security is a lumbering beast. I mean,
Yeah.
they have a lot that they do. They're responsible for a lot of things. They're responsible for a lot of confidentiality. They
Hmm.
are they're pretty slow.
Okay.
But 3 to 4 months, most people can anticipate that date and get that application in before then. But let's say something happens and you just, oh gosh, I'm going to have to
Yeah.
retire right now. You can file your application online
Uh-huh.
and get that application in and moving as soon as you can finish the application.
Okay. Okay. So you typically just don't want to wait too late to start the benefits,
Right.
especially if you
Right. You
know
want
you're
to
going to retire at this age. I need to get the ball rolling.
exactly, and you want to know what your benefit amounts will be so that
Yeah.
you can have your
Yeah.
proper planning for your fiscal security.
Absolutely. Okay. So, what's the first thing we need to do when we're going to apply for Social Security benefits? And that's for retirees, that's survivor benefits. Break it down for each one, disability, if you don't mind.
Well, generally, I always advise people to sign up for their My Social Security account,
Okay.
and that way you'll have access to your personal information, your
Mhm.
earnings record, what your disability or what your retirement benefits will be,
Okay.
what they will be at whatever age you decide to retire. So that's some really valuable information for people to have in order to make good decisions.
And that's at any age. You should know. You should be able to log in and get that, even if you've got a couple of years, a few years before you retire, right?
Yes, and for me personally, I log in every year of my birth date, the month of
Yeah.
my birth, and I look at my earnings record and I say, yeah, that's correct,
Okay.
because they gather their earning records from the IRS, and mistakes can happen,
Okay.
and that those amounts are what your retirement money is based on. So you want to make sure that it's accurate. So
That's a good
once a
point.
year, I do review my earnings record, and I advise others to do that too.
And the good day to remember it is on your birthday,
Yeah.
right? That's a good idea. I never really thought of it that way, but that makes perfect sense to do it just to keep track to make sure everything's the
Yeah.
numbers are what they're supposed to be, right? Because
Right.
we don't want to wait till retirement and say, "Hey, wait a minute," you know. Okay, so when you're submitting your application and you're filing for your benefits, what type of documentation do you need to submit with that?
The Social Security has a lot of checklists that you can download or
Okay.
go to on their website. So I always advise my clients to look at SSA.gov to find those checklists.
Okay.
For retirement, they want to know, what the date of your retirement is. You'll need some basic information about yourself. Often they are requesting proof of citizenship, which
Yeah.
may be a birth certificate or other citizenship paperwork. But you will, if they need that, they'll let you know.
Hmm.
So it's really pretty basic information that you will be able to prepare for yourself when you do your application online.
Okay, so I know that we've got some changes that are coming up with Social Security benefits. There are some new federal regulations that have gone into place, and the biggest thing is there will no longer be paper checks available. So people will now have to have Social Security benefits directly deposited into their account. That change is expected to happen pretty soon.
Social Security made that recommendation many years ago.
Yes.
So as new people have been retiring and new people have been getting disability, they've been forcing them basically to get an account that they can
Hmm.
direct deposit. So the people that are getting paper checks are really, the grandfathered
I
people that
think
have
believe a 1%.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
small. And Social Security is making that process pretty seamless. You need to contact them. You can do it on phone, or if you set up your my Social Security.gov account, you can do your routing number and your account number and those kinds
Yes.
of things
Yeah.
online. So they don't make it horrible if you can reach someone to help you.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be essential. The direct depositing. Um,
And there are some exceptions too.
they're really going to be pretty few.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
want everybody, and the Social Security will help too. They have a deposit card, like a credit card,
Yes, they do.
a debit
Yes.
card that you can apply for and use if you don't have any other resources. So
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
they want those direct deposits, and it is it's a great convenience. You know what day your money's going to land,
Exactly.
and it's pretty consistent and predictable.
Yeah, for sure. I do believe reading the page, the Social Security benefits page, is like those 90 and above are exempt from that if you live in a location geographically where it kind of interferes with wireless transactions, things of that sort. So there are a couple of few restrictions, that exceptions, should I say. that will be allowed. So, but that is the biggest change that's coming pretty soon, and people probably want to know what do they need
Yes,
to do to
yes,
prepare.
be prepared.
So let's talk a little bit about taxes, taxes, taxes. Right? Do are your benefits taxed?
Well, that is, I usually refer those questions to a tax person.
Yes, right.
There's rules, and those rules have
Yes,
sub rules, and those sub rules have sub rules. So it
rules
depends
for
on
rules.
your age, whether it's retirement, whether it's a retirement after 70, whether it's early retirement, how much you're earning. Money that you earn before your actual retirement date doesn't count against you.
Mm-hmm.
Money after your retirement date can count against you.
Mm-hmm.
And there are certain amounts that you can earn without penalties. So it's a very fact specific
Hmm.
situation. So there's not
Yeah.
just a blanket statement that I
Give,
can
give.
make for that.
Absolutely, I understand. But listen, so I know this is what you do as far as your expertise. What are you seeing? What are the calls that you receive into your office, and what are some of your clients actually dealing with that you help them with?
Well, our main focus is with the disabled
Okay.
clientele. So that's what we're generally helping people that are no longer able to work and need that fail safe that is Social
Hmm.
Security disability. But, once someone's on disability, they always have questions about Medicare. They have questions about, are they still eligible for
Yeah.
access? What happens if I do get a job?
Hmm.
When will there be a cost of living rate of
Yes.
a cola this year? Lots of those basic kinds of questions. Our younger population that have disability, there's a lot. They have lots of changes as they develop through life, and
Exactly.
so those they have a lot more specific questions about what happens if I do this, what happens if I get married, those kinds of questions.
Those type
So
of, and you
so
help navigate them through that.
yes,
That's
yes.
amazing. That's amazing. And so again, you take a lot of calls. Do you receive calls? And these are what are some common questions that you're?
Common questions. People will ask a lot about how does the process work? Where can I find an application? How can I file an application?
Yeah.
What information do I need? A lot of the procedural kinds of things,
Hmm.
and we're always happy to give you directions and help you start that way.
Hmm.
And then there's lots of people have fact specific questions. How would what does my situation look like? Does this is something that Social Security can help me with?
Right.
There's some personal questions like that. People that are on benefits,
Okay.
their life changes, whether it's an inheritance or
Mm.
a move. They're like, how is this going to affect me?
Yeah.
So lots of those kinds of questions.
Absolutely. Well, Mary Kate, I am so glad again that you are with us tonight, again, partnering with the State Bar of Arizona to provide this phone bank. I want to go ahead and give you that number. And if you're watching this live, the phone lines won't open until 5 p.m. So don't try to call because we still got a little time. But the phone lines will open at 5 o'clock. It is 855 522 1515. You can call the number. Mary Kate and our team of volunteers, we're going to be on the other line to answer your questions. And again, we're so grateful that we can bring this to people because we know that they need this help. And so, again, that number is 855 522 1515. But don't call until 5 o'clock tonight. But I do want to put that number out there. Again, thank you so
Thank
much for being with
you.
us. We appreciate it. And we'll see you until next time.